Hey, let's start the show.
It's July 30th, 2015. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Norman Chan is on vacation.
I am
this
Norman
week.
Chan.
David Snider is playing the role of Norman Chan today.
I'll just get a little, just scrunch down in my seat.
Put the mic right up in front of your face. Get it right up there.
More cantankerous.
There you go. Get a little grumpy and never make eye contact with anyone.
I'm looking directly at my microphone.
Also, we have a full house today, though, Norm, to take your place. Patrick Norton's here.
Hey,
Thank you for coming back on the show, Patrick.
my pleasure.
And we're joined today by the inestimable Joey Fameli.
Hello.
Who normally you guys see behind the camera or don't
see behind the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're in the back seat of a car.
Sometimes.
And we don't acknowledge your presence, and then people
never.
get really offended by that. Which,
Really?
Yeah, they were really upset when you were in the back of the car, and we didn't ever say, "Hey, there's a guy in the back of the car. It's Joey."
Just let me creep. Let me creep.
But so Joey's riding the control panel today.
I am.
And fourth chair. So welcome to the show. It's been a long time since we had you on. There we go. That's the kind of stuff that you can do that I don't know how to do. You got to teach me this.
I will.
I thought you said he was channing for a second.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Fourth chair.
Thank you.
It's like Taco Bell's.
What meme has he invented now?
No, I 4chan, but I used to make jokes about 4chan, but not anymore. We got some corrections from last week.
Uh-oh.
Last week, I said that the only place you could see panda bears in North America was in the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., which is woefully incorrect.
There's like dozens of panda
Well,
bears in the
okay,
United
so I was
States.
operating on maybe 15 or 20-year-old information the last time I went to the National Zoo in Washington, D.C.
So are these, or I got to ask, before we get into the number of panda bears, are these
Yes.
domestically produced panda bears?
No,
or are
they're
these
on loan
panda
from
bears
China.
that were stolen from,
No, I
on
think
loan?
they were.
I like
There were
that.
some born in
given.
the
They're
80s.
gift.
Given.
They were born
Okay.
in the 80s.
But the offspring, I believe. Let's make some more corrections for next week right now.
As a DC native,
Yeah.
I don't know much.
There were baby pandas born there. I remember
I was
going to
just
see
there
the baby
2
panda.
weeks ago too.
Yeah.
And I went to go look at it. Of course, they weren't there. And what are you going to do? It's
What, the
100
pandas aren't
degrees
there?
outside. They're like, hey, big panda is symposium, and then you walk by and like they're just not out.
We're taking my kid there to see the pandas. So I got. If you have intel on what time of day to be at the zoo to see the pandas, send that my way.
And it's a 2-year-old. She was like more excited about the goldfish than
Oh,
over
see,
there. It's like, oh, look at the goldfish.
Oh man, my kid is super into Chew.
It's like just the food that the
Oh,
cats
yeah.
were eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you read Tuesday?
Yeah.
You know what's up with that.
Well,
Yeah.
I was laughing because I was like, why haven't we played the panda sneeze video yet? We've been talking about pandas on an internet show for more than a minute. We should be playing the panda sneeze
Have you seen the
video.
panda sneeze?
Yes.
Okay. Go look up the panda
Apparently
sneeze.
one too many times.
No, it's just hey, it's a panda. Like they sneeze like the rest of us.
Dave's
man.
immune to cute.
All right. Well, I don't know.
After a terrible childhood overdose, David found himself amused to cute in adulthood. This has prevented
Apparently,
tremendous-
Joey never put Legos together. We found that out just like 30 minutes ago.
At
Ridiculous.
33, my first Lego set.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Not even
was
like
exactly what I
off-branded.
expected it
You
to
have
be.
like some off-brand
no,
thing.
I think we had.
Connects.
Was it Technics or something?
Technics is like
Yeah.
super Lego.
I think my cousin had those, but I didn't touch them.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let you play with them.
I don't think
he
I
a
ever had
dick?
any.
What was your favorite childhood toy?
Please say that thing with the ball and the cup on the string.
had
It was just a lot of toys. Like I had like all the He-Man toys.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time outside, skateboarding, rollerblading.
That ball,
know.
the ball with the stick thing. Have you ever tried that? It's really hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's really hard? Getting it out of the
Yo-yos.
hands of a 3-year-old when they're using it next to 100-year-old windows in your house.
I saw something I'd never seen before at a bar back east. It was basically just a string from the ceiling, and there was a hook on the wall, and at the bottom of the string was just a loop, like a metal loop.
Oh yeah, you throw the.
And you just tried to like swing it like a pendulum, and it could just barely. If you did it perfectly, you could get it on the hook.
That's
and
genius.
I watched this kid do it for 30 minutes, and he was at this vacation spot that my parents go back to. And he was like, I got it last year. He's like, I got to do it again. And I watched him through the entire dinner.
Wow.
Just trying to put this thing on the hook.
I'm
and I was
going
like,
to
Did he
See,
get it?
We had stuff like that.
No, he didn't
for
get
sure.
it.
Really?
Little hook games, just little strings and dumb little homemade games.
I grew up in rural Tennessee. I have never we had Lego,
Yeah, guns.
Oh, lots of guns. I mean, I when I turned 9, I think I got a 410 shotgun for my birthday.
I was given my first rifle when I turned 5.
Yeah, my parents.
5?
Yeah.
We were always afraid of rifles. I mean, we had like 22s, but like we weren't allowed. Like Dad would let us go out and shoot squirrels and stuff. This is sorry in advance, internet. But
no, you don't have to apologize for harvesting the vile little creatures.
well, we ate them.
Yes.
Yeah, you can eat squirrels. Pretty good eating.
Possibly the best thing in the Learn How to Be a Chef in 4-hour book is the squirrel recipe.
In the rodent. What are they? They're probably a family.
Well,
In
to
the
you, it
rodent
sounds like they were
family,
vittles.
I'm
or
sure it'll
something.
turn out.
The squirrels are the best of them.
Hold on, let me look up on Wikipedia because I'm sure it's going to be like some bizarre non-rodentia family.
Oh, they gotta be rodents. Anyway, the upshot is rifles were only for supervision, and shotguns were just for
I
fun
wasn't
times.
allowed to run around at 5-year-old.
No,
5 years
no.
of age. But we were also, my grandfather had a cabin not too far from where the family farm was in New Boston, Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, it was big empty territory.
Yeah. So see, we weren't allowed to have rifles because we were in like developed farmland where there was a lot of livestock and stuff around. But yeah, anyway, nobody lost an eye, and we lived in mortal fear of like gun safety. We went to gun safety. Like I had to do that before I got the gun for my birthday.
I was helping some people learn how to shoot pellet guns recently, and it was like the 4 laws of firearms. They're like, they're just pellet guns. I'm like, no. If you pick up something that sends projectiles out the other end, you always use these rules. Because if you don't, when you do pick up a big gun, you will end up shooting somebody, and I will not be responsible for that.
It's like our friend of the site, Nathan Edwards, told me we were looking at light switches at a conference at one point, and he was like, I've always wanted to get one of those light switches. It looks like the big red, like danger stop thing. But his wife works in like an industrial situation where they have those big red danger stop things, and she's like, I can't have that here because if I get used to hitting it here, I'll want to flip the lights off when I leave the line and just cause $30,000 worth in lost time or whatever on the emergency exit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so pandas are available at least in Atlanta and Toronto. Possibly more zoos now.
I think Memphis, I thought they were
Probably
still
Memphis. Why not?
Actually, about Timothy Ferriss, the 4-hour chef. Amazing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I really like it.
I'll check it out.
It's more about learning than chefing, but there's a lot of he's a fascinating guy.
He is fascinating is the right word probably.
Is this a tech podcast?
Occasionally.
Did something happen this
Well,
week?
so we also talked about the car hack a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think you were here for that one, weren't you? Or maybe it was I can't remember.
It's I don't know. It's a big bit of, it was a really big part of my Twitter feed because apparently what was fascinating is they had warned Chrysler about the ability to remotely hack vehicles like 5 years ago, and then they finally, I guess, got tired of waiting and released this video with the Wired editor, and then there was, then it escalated in roughly 36 hours after the video went up. It escalated from we have a patch you can get from your dealer to people being like, my dealer doesn't know about this, to a full recall to have the patch applied to the million something,
1.2 million or something like that were affected. Yeah.
Which is probably the fastest a recall's ever come out.
I mean, it takes a lot for the automotive industry to move quickly, but I think that if you watch the video basically, if you didn't listen a couple weeks ago, the video basically shows a guy driving a car. All of a sudden, the radio turns up really loud. He can't turn it off. Then the windshield wipers and the washers start blasting, and he can't turn them off. And then it shifts into neutral and starts revving, and they cut power to the brakes and all sorts of other stuff.
They cut, and we should put this in context. They cut power to the brakes while the vehicle was on an interstate highway.
That was incredibly dangerous.
Yes, but it also illustrated a point because a lot of people are like, oh sure, because a lot of people, it's funny because DEF CON next week, there's a lot of people are like, they demonstrate something, but it requires somebody who's like, oh, we created a way to use an inexpensive cell phone to deal with to contact a remote PC that's air gapped, right? So air gap means there's no connection to a network or the internet or anything, right? It's a PC in a locked room. It should be unhackable if the room isn't breached. And there was and then they're finally like 19 paragraphs into it. It turns out you have to have malware installed on the PC and on the phone. So you need an agent to act on the PC. Right. In this case, it was we are driving down the highway and all hell broke loose.
You have the IP address for the phone for the car, which means basically just figuring out what IP range Chrysler bought for their cars, and then port scanning until you find one with the right open ports, and then boom.
Smell tables.
Yeah. So there's been a recall to address that problem. If you have an affected car, you should take it to your dealer and get it fixed ASAP.
Before the script kiddies start wandering the highways.
This is the first wave of this horrifying future, right? Like, people who build car systems aren't good at hardening them, I don't think.
People who build almost anything today, like and this is okay. Again, like I'm in the warehouse with the Hack 5 crew. You know, for example, do you have your land turtle?
Yeah.
This looks like pull it out of there. It looks like a normal everyday USB dongle.
You said dongle.
Yes, I did. I'll say dongle again if you want. So this looks like an ordinary.
I've got 1 million of those at my house.
Sure you do.
Look, I can make it's an Ethernet port for my Mac. I'm just going to plug this in.
Plugs right into my computer.
Do that for me. So I mean, but it's really crazy, right? This is something that looks like any Chinese manufactured $8 USB Ethernet dongle, but it is essentially allows you to have secret remote access to any network it's plugged into.
Great.
Yeah. You can run, and it's a pen testing tool. It's relatively inexpensive, but this is what people can do intentionally. What's really, really frightening, and if you're in, by the way, network security, just go check out landturtle.com or the Hack 5 shop. There'll be some. I'll be at the booth at DEF CON. It's going to be crazy.
You're waving the flag for
I'm waving the flag. I'm part of the crew. But what's frustrating about this, isn't that we can create these amazing security tools that will allow us to pen test and audit networks and make networks more secure. What's incredibly depressing is how many things are being sold right now with tremendous flaws inside of them that are just waiting to be exploited. And the fact that the majority of things that are being, we're doing the Internet of Things. We're going to be able to have this thing, and it's going to listen to your voice. And when you say something, it's going to turn the light off. It's great. I've got an automated light switch.
Pretty cool. I have that.
It is really cool.
I really like it a lot.
But
it's very convenient.
But then it turns out like almost every router made with the ability to plug a USB drive into it has a little bit of a software hole that allows remote, attacks.
Yeah.
Or, in so many cases, people build a device. We're gonna build. Let's come up with a ridiculous internet.
Are you going to quote Jurassic Park here?
So are you basically telling me that with all these connected things, my house will turn into like Pee-wee's Playhouse, and like every piece of furniture that I have?
I think it's more that the house is going to try to kill you
and talking to me.
No, murder you.
All right.
Or like but it's funny. It's like almost every router made in the last 7 years turns out to have a giant hole because they all use the same inexpensive chunk of software, and nobody really did any decent. Nobody really looked at the code for the flaws.
Does that include if you put something like third-party firmwares like DDWRT and stuff like that on that are vetted by a community?
But in that case, no. But in some cases, if they use the code from the third-party supplier, yes. But the community is basically stomping on these things. But not every router that's available has the ability to update that. So it's kind of ridiculous how what happens in most cases, right? Somebody's like, okay, I'm going to make a connected light bulb. I shouldn't use this because there's so many connected light bulbs. I'm going to make a connected espresso machine with a disco light. Pretty sure nobody's making one yet.
You're clear on that.
Good. So, and then I'm like, I'm going to use this third-party chip. This third-party chip comes with this software. I send it to my engineers. My engineers slap an interface on it and make sure the basic functionality is there. I ship the product. Mm-hmm. And in most cases, nobody ever actually does any adequate testing on that software to look for holes or bugs because, well, the manufacturer did it, of course. Well, the manufacturer usually just slaps something together as an example, but the problem is the examples usually become the final code with minor tweaks to basically put some GIFs on it.
And it seems harmless. It's just an espresso machine with a disco ball on
Except it turns out to be
fun.
And now you have, and if it turns out to have a flaw, then you have this amazing opportunity to take advantage of people with enough money for a disco ball Ethernet.
Yeah.
Ethernet connected disco ball espresso machine.
That's a very good point.
I mean, if you take my espresso machine hostage, I'll do almost anything to get it back. I'll be honest. Okay, that's corrections, updates. Big news this week is Windows. Well, there's two big newses. One is potentially bigger than the other. Windows 10 is out. You can get it right now.
Yes, you can.
We posted a review. We posted a video and a review, so you can check that on the site. I've been using it now real hard for about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And before that, for probably 6 months off and on.
Sure.
I think you probably spent a little bit more time with it than I have at this point, Patrick.
My primary machine has been running Windows 10 for months. I'm not sure how many months now. A long time.
I mean, for me, the big telling thing about Windows 10, The Verge ran an article. Tom Warren at The Verge wrote an article that had a bunch of interviews with people inside Microsoft. And the takeaway from that for me is something that I had noticed just naturally. But But it seems like instead of with Windows 8, Microsoft said, "Hey, this is the way Windows is going to be from now on. You need to learn to use it this way," and that didn't work out so well. So with Windows 10, they kind of took a more organic approach and said, "Hey, how do people actually want to use our computers? How do people actually use our computers today?" And then made the OS work that way. Which
So
is
it launches my games.
it just goes straight to Steam. You never see Windows at all. No, it's a really big.
It's a huge change. I mean, I haven't seen the Verge article yet. I get to with a bunch of people interview Mohammed Samji, which is like, let me read the title out: Group Program Manager for Core User Experience on Desktop.
Oh, right, the group program, for core user experience.
There's a great
on desktop.
acronym there.
Probably is. Fantastic guy, but he was interesting. He said, Microsoft got its ass kicked on Windows 8. Let's just flat out say
It's
it.
every other version of Windows at this point.
Yes.
Windows ME, XP, Vista, 7,
But ME
8,
and Vista
10.
were like unnecessary money grabs that they dropped just to, piss off the OEMs and rope in a bunch of people on an unnecessary upgrade before the real next version of Windows came out.
Vista, they tried to push the hardware forward, push the software forward, and just overshot dramatically.
Okay, but ME was just
ME
a
was a
complete waste
cash
of
grab.
time.
Yeah, agreed.
But so with Windows 8, traditional development, they put together a list of, and you can just see them there. Well, we're moving. Intel wants us to move to screens. Tablets are the future. We really like the Surface. Here's Windows 8. They spent like 2 years developing it, and then like 75, 89% of the way through, they hurl out a beta. And then they hurl out another beta, and then they RTM. And what Mohammed said is he's like, we basically invested a lot of money in telemetry, and we've been watching. And we started with 1 million people in the Insider.
You're talking about with 10.
With 10,
yeah.
But we started with 1 million people in the Insider preview, and with 5 million people, and we basically watched we'd introduce a feature, we'd find out if people used it. And then if they didn't use it, we'd find out why, and we'd adjust. So it's been this, huge, rapid development process that is completely unlike anything they have ever done for the operating system.
And the thing that I've noticed is that when you have a situation where it doesn't behave the way you want it to, typically there's an option someplace that lets you adjust it to one of 2 or 3 different ways.
Yes.
And one of those will probably be a way that you're comfortable with.
What's a good example of that?
So a good example is the way the start screen works. So when you're in tablet mode, if you have a device that has touch, it gives you the traditional start screen if you want. But if you don't, you can always have the start menu, just like you would on a traditional Windows 7 or earlier machine. If you want it to switch automatically, when you switch between, when you flip the keyboard back and you suddenly have a tablet, it'll do that automatically. If you want to choose every time you do it, you can do that. If you never want to choose and always want to stay in one mode or the other, you can do that. If you want to configure the start menu to have more or less stuff visible, you can do that. Like they did a really nice job. And the other perfect example is, how on like the Windows 7 start menu, you had links to all those folders that you never used in your profile, like my music and my videos and my pictures and all that shit you never ever look at.
Yeah. Well,
they looked at the telemetry and said, look, all people ever do is click this stuff to get to File Explorer so they can go to someplace in their file system where their stuff is. So all those links are gone. There's just one link that goes to File Explorer. There's one link that goes to Settings, and there's one link that goes to Power, and that's it.
That sounds better.
It's really good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on Mac, I use a lot of media stuff, right?
Yeah.
I hit spacebar and I preview everything, and I dial down and see everything. Does Windows have anything like that?
It doesn't have the in-system preview, like the quick preview that OS 10 has. It has Windows Photo Viewer is back, or is more easily accessible, which is like it's the equivalent of preview, not the Finder preview.
Okay.
So like Mac preview.
Yeah, like Mac preview. So you can open up preview and then scroll through the folder.
Yeah.
Which is what I usually do. I wish it had the space bar pop
It's really hard to do video production without that.
Yeah.
I find that thing very useful on Mac.
Well, and the fact on Mac that you can scrub through in that little thing is the key.
And I want to switch to Windows and eventually go to like a Windows editing machine, right?
Right, because why would you pay for a Mac Pro at this point when we're using Premiere?
That's a bummer.
But
I'm sure
I think there may be third-party tools.
I'm sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a few other things. A lot of people are confused. The Windows release date was day before yesterday now.
Yes.
They're rolling out the update in a new way. So it's free for Windows 7 and 8 users. You basically have this little thing in your taskbar that pops up and says, hey, your upgrade's ready to install. They're rolling it out based on hardware configurations. So if you have basically they're taking the data they collected during the Insider program and they're saying, hey, these machines we know are going to be solid for upgrades. They're not going to have problems. Thousands of people have done them. They're whitelisting those machines. They got the upgrade first. If you have some sort of screwy hardware, something with drivers that maybe doesn't exist, your motherboard needs a BIOS update, it'll wait until you have that stuff lined up to say, hey, you get the upgrade.
Oh, that's cool.
So if it thinks your upgrade is not going to go well, it's not going to let you upgrade out right off the gate. Now, if you want to do, I was in this situation, so I wasn't getting the upgrade.
Right.
I needed to get the upgrade on my home machine for obvious reasons. So you can still go and download the media creation tool, the Windows 10 media creation tool. It's a little tiny application. Basically what it does is lets you build an ISO or upgrade the machine right there, which probably won't work if you have if you didn't get the upgrade option. Or you can create an installation tool using a USB thumb drive or something like that.
So the old way.
The old way. But there's a trick. If you want the free upgrade, you have to do an upgrade from Windows 8 with your activation key first. So the situation I was in yesterday, or day before, whenever I did this, is that first I had to back up my C drive. Then I had to wipe it completely because it's a UEFI machine, which means to wipe it completely, you have to go into the command console, wipe the drive with disk part, which is a little bit scary if you're not used to command line stuff. And then install Windows 8, upgrade that Windows 8 install to Windows 10, then wipe everything because I'm not going to spend all this time and energy to have a not clean, unupgraded Windows 10 install. And once you've activated the upgraded Windows 10, you can install anytime. You don't have to put a key in or anything, and Windows just knows that machine.
This is why I have every CD that I've ever gotten from Microsoft in my closet, because you never know what it's like. Oh, we're going to give you this upgrade for $5, but you got to go find that key.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, all right, it's somewhere.
So the nice thing is if you have like Windows 7 keys that you like, for example, I got a new full version of Windows 8 when I built my Windows 8 machine. If you have an old Windows 7 key laying around and you want to like dual boot on your MacBook or something, you can use that Windows 7 key to get a boot camp version of Windows 10. If you so desire.
I got my little pop-up, my friendly guy. I was hoping like Clippy was going to show up there, and he was like, here you go, you can download it. It was weird because it's like they're telling you ahead of time that they can pre-download, which I thought was pretty neat. It was like, hey, this is coming out in 2 weeks. Would you like to, be in the list or whatever? And I was like, oh, that's a pretty good way to do it.
Are you on 7 or 8 right now?
I'm on, probably 8.1 or, whatever the latest version of 8 is. So it gave me that little pop-up and sent me a little email. And I thought it was actually handled pretty well from that side of it. And I think it gave me a date or something.
It said it would have been last Tuesday is when they start. But the thing that they didn't explain well is that they're not rolling it out to people who are going to have problems.
Yeah.
Which is, super good idea, pretty good execution, terrible messaging. Yeah. I mean, and like my mom's not going to give a shit. But anybody who cares about having the latest version of Windows is going to be confused.
Right.
And they didn't share how they were doing that until like the embargo on that information was Tuesday night at 9 p.m.
Yeah, I missed that. I mean, we did our whole show on outside of the Moto G, the Moto X, a really interesting conversation about, what should I be studying in college, which is probably you should quit college now, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, just burn it all down.
How much are you paying for college? Stop. But it's funny because so much of the information was coming out at the very last minute. I didn't even get that, and I thought we had sort of everything.
Well, I mean, I asked a question when we had a briefing a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Oh, it's really interesting how we're doing that. We haven't really talked about this yet." And I was like, "Well, why the fuck haven't you talked about this yet? This is important." Couple other Windows 10 things. There is we talked about updates being forced. Right. So you can't turn off automatic updating, which I'm of mixed feelings about.
Yes.
Basically,
for good reason.
Yeah, for normal people, I think that's fantastic. I think it's a good thing. There have been times in my life when I have not wanted to do automatic updates, especially for big releases. Microsoft is saying that because they're going to continue the Insider thing going forward, they'll have massive. Basically they're basically doing the same thing that say Chrome does with stable beta dev channels. Right. So there's a fast channel for the Insider, there's a slow channel for Insider, and then there's just release Windows 10. So before an update makes it to release Windows 10, it'll go through both the fast and the slow channels. But
so in theory,
yes,
it should be flawless by the time it gets to the main channel.
In theory.
However, I mean, the biggest issue I think is it's funny because it's been interesting looking at this because I can't think of the article, but somebody pointed out there had been 40 major problematic updates in the last year with Windows 8. I'm like, okay, this is an enterprise group. They approach problems differently than I do, because I haven't really had a Windows 8 issue in forever with an update. That said, I also don't have driver updates.
Right, and they're forcing driver updates now too.
Because I asked about that. I'm like, can we turn that off? And they're like, no, you can delay things, but you can't do that. And it's fundamentally is, for a home version, you're going to get all the updates. I'm curious, right, in the wake of the NVIDIA debacle, the driver problems 24 hours before the release of the operating system, if they're going to become more flexible in that. They fixed it really fast, to their credit.
Right.
But it still led to a lot of people being really pissed off in the first 24 hours of the release.
So one thing that they have done is they've released a tool that allows you to hide or block unwanted Windows 10 updates, which is something that I didn't think they were going to do. I think you have to do that on a per update basis, though, which is kind of a drag.
Well, and I think they're torn because they know they have all these Windows XP systems that are essentially zombies. Mm-hmm. They are botted, they are rooted, they are never getting updated. They were never updated. There's millions of them, and they want to be in a situation where they can prevent that from happening on a large scale. Because the branding for the last several months from Microsoft has been like billion.
1.2 billion.
Yeah, a sixth of the planet is running our stuff. So they're thinking in this huge scale, and part of that huge scale is making sure that they really do have one platform for developers, and they really do have all the security updates, because I think this is just going to get worse as time goes forward. But the downside of that was, how bad does it suck to be launching this amazing new product and then have one of the most important and loudest subsets of your user base go berserk because your forced updates are causing their machines to crash or misfunction?
Not work.
Is there anything they're doing along with this launch that gives you any indication that their third-party app support stuff, just that ecosystem will improve?
Like you mean the store ecosystem, the Metro stuff?
Just in general, the entire, that's always what's kind of kept me off of Windows for the most part as daily driver. I mean, outside of coding and that type of stuff, but just you need to get utility apps or something along those lines. They've always it's lagged behind.
They've been jankier.
Yeah.
It's a difference in,
and a good example is hey, you'll have, even at their large top tier third party developer, you'd have somebody like Skype, which is publishing a tool through Metro, right, through the store. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they just stop support of it, and they're like, just get, Skype for desktop type thing.
So I think a lot of that is, especially in the Metro stuff, is because they were promising 1 billion people adopting Windows 8, and then 1 billion people did not adopt Windows 8. Mm-hmm. And of those not 1 billion people that didn't adopt, that adopted Windows 8, only a tiny fraction of them actually used the store.
Right.
Because of the way that they're making the Metro apps and the modern apps work the way you'd expect Windows to work. So one of the big things that they changed with Windows 10 is that the desktop is now the center of the OS again. It's not like this weird little app that runs.
They love the desktop again.
Right. You can run modern apps in a window as you would expect, just like a normal desktop app.
Right.
The only thing that's different about them is that modern apps are delivered through the store. Desktop apps you have to install yourself for the most part. I mean, they're sandboxed and stuff like that. But
but part of that was also they basically we'll run anything. Windows 32 apps, great, and that's kind of like their metaphor for all older apps is Windows 32 apps. What's interesting, if you want things like live tiles and some of the cool guy features that come with the modern development environment and all the new tools that they released to build this year, you will be forced to distribute your application through the store.
Which means you have to build a modern app.
So what's the show off? If I want to look at a third party app and man,
none of them are good.
All right. So that's still my problem then.
But I think my hunch is that will change, because my guess is that people did the least effort necessary to get an application out. If you look at, say, Twitter for Windows,
sure,
the modern app is by far the worst Twitter developed Twitter client that I've seen so far. Once they get hundreds of millions of people using it, things will change. I mean,
and you think that at least the way that it's set up this time, that's possible?
I think because you can run them in before you had to run those full screen or in their shitty 1/3, 2/3 thing.
Exactly.
I mean, they built this incredible development environment, or this interesting development environment for Windows 8 based on the assumption that they were going to change the way people used Windows desktops. And boy, did they hit the wall on that one in a huge way. Like I still like, I've said it probably 8 times on this show alone. Like the first time I launched a PDF and it was my full screen and I couldn't reduce it and I couldn't size it and I couldn't share windows. I literally howled WTF at the top of. Oh, I can say that on this podcast.
Yeah, you can say fuck.
I was
fuck
like, what the
shit,
fuck?
whatever.
And literally like within 30 seconds, I'm now downloading replacement applications for a bunch of stuff that's pre-installed in my system, so I can actually use it and do work.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
So the nice thing about the modern stuff is that if it works and they get it to the place that it's good, when you need to reinstall Windows or something, all of your stuff is just there again.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Like it's like a tablet or a phone in that regard,
which is cool. But the whole thing at Microsoft Build this year, there was this huge, basically like, we need to make Windows really easy to code to. We need to make it really easy to port your existing code base, whether it's on Android, whether it's on iOS, whether it's on Windows, whether it's on. So there was this huge like, these are the tools. The tools are going to be free. We're going to use Docker. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do the other thing. Speaking of places to do really scary things with exploits, Docker is going to be really interesting over the next couple of years. But so their whole play at Build was like, so about Windows 8. Let's talk about Windows 10. Yeah. And here's all the things we learned. We did the wrong way on Windows 8 that we're not doing on Windows 10.
We made some bad choices.
So this thing where we release a new operating system and you sell a bunch of applications that didn't happen this time because we screwed up so badly, we're going to fix that.
It's the typical Microsoft, right? They mess up the first rev and then they do okay the second rev. The third one's going to be really nice.
Yes.
The other thing they're doing is with Visual Studio, there's a community version of that that's fully featured. You can build applications, put them in the store. It's free if you're not using it for enterprise.
I have it right now because it's the only way you can run, the Windows stuff, 10 Internet of it's Windows 10 Internet of Things for the Raspberry Pi. It's the only way you can run it.
Right.
So
Yeah. So like they're aware of that. There's a couple of other things people are flipping out about. The Wi-Fi SSID sharing feature. Yeah. It's difficult to opt out of. So the way this works is, when you connect to a network, it shares that network name and password on Microsoft server in an encrypted way and puts it out to everybody else that's in your, I think, Outlook contacts. Is that right?
For all intents and purposes. Yeah. Shannon freaked out about this, and we walked through how to shut it down on Tech Thing yesterday.
Well, so you can turn it off so that you don't share relatively easily. Yeah. You can set it so that you don't get shared Wi-Fi passwords from other people easily. What you can't do is opt out your networks. So, for example, the way that if you say, I never want my home network to be shared this way, you have to put _ opt out in the SSID name, which doesn't seem like a big deal until you realize that, like at my house, I have 45 things connected to my Wi-Fi. And if I have to go back and re-put in all the SSIDs, I'm going to be kind of pissed.
Yeah. Well, you can do like
that sounds nuts.
Yeah. It's super. It's been on Windows Phone for ages. Nobody cared because nobody uses Windows Phone. I mean,
it's okay.
People use Windows Phone.
There's one guy yelling about it.
Yeah, the guy that's screaming at his TV now. I'm sorry. Like, we know that you're there. There's just not very many of you.
You're less than 2% of the market, and Microsoft's essentially walked away from you. Not that they would ever say that.
Well, I mean, if the apps end up working out for this, it'll solve their problem with that. Anyway, okay, so that's dumb. We're not going to talk about that. Like, just turn it off and don't share Wi-Fi passwords with that service. I'm taking all of my contacts out of Windows. I'm not syncing contacts with Windows, so that there's literally no one that I can share with and I can't share with anybody. And I'm not going to give Wi-Fi passwords to my friends anymore if they're using Windows 10 machines. Sorry, guys. The other thing is that Solitaire is now a freemium app. They made a big show of putting it back in the OS. If you want to remove ads from Microsoft Solitaire, you need to pay $1.99 a month, or I think $10 a year.
What was the ski game they had?
Ski free. It's not in there. Oh. I don't know what Minesweeper costs. I don't know if you get Minesweeper when you subscribe to Solitaire. I
want them all. Bring them back.
Like, whoever is the first one in the store with a decent free Solitaire app, you're going to do okay. Because this is really, really dumb.
Do people still play Minesweeper?
I love Minesweeper.
A lot of people.
Yeah. You love Minesweeper. Do you still play it?
No, I haven't had Windows. I'm not in a situation where... If I'm in a situation where I'm sitting in front of a Windows machine and want to fuck around, I have much better options.
I think I played Minesweeper for about 10 years and just last year learned the rules of the game.
Really, you're just
I
clicking randomly?
Just remember
What?
random
Scores
every
went
now and
through
then.
the roof.
I'd have a render time. I just
So
open
did
it
you
up.
ever like win?
I never knew what was going on. Just numbers and
What?
yeah, but I just learned how to play. So I was like, all right, this makes
That's crazy,
Joey.
Joey.
sense now.
Joey.
Could
Okay,
have been
so
playing with Legos.
Windows 10, it's out, kind of. If you want to get it and you can't get it yet, you can do a clean install. It's a big pain in the ass. My recommendation is wait until you can do an upgrade and then do your clean install after that.
I'd also say if it's interesting. I was funny. It was interesting seeing how many people had problems with Windows 10 because my experience, with a couple minor, a lost mouse pad for a couple or a lost trackpad for a couple days, and the machine
Beta issues.
reboot. Yeah, I mean the machine rebooted every 10 minutes, for about a week at one point.
That was bad. That was a bad update there.
Yeah, back in like May. But other than that, it's been I can't stand using my Windows 8 machines anymore. I'm upgrading all of them as fast as I can.
Like if I was on Windows 7 still, I think it would be a different situation. A lot of people asked, how does this compare to Windows 7? To be perfectly frank, I haven't used Windows 7 since Windows 8 came out because we always move to the new thing.
Right. It works. It's like their goal was to take everything that people loved about Windows 7 and everything that people actually used in Windows 8 and to move them forward together in Windows 10. And I think they've very successfully done that.
I feel like this is the other thing we didn't talk about at all is that they're saying this is the last version of Windows. So this is from now on you'll get regular smaller updates to Windows 10 that are delivered automatically through the power of the internet.
Farewell tour.
3 to 4 times a year, I think is what they
They're
said.
just out there charging $10 for hot dogs.
No hot dogs.
All right.
No hot dogs. It's that's the deal? You always crank up the merch cost on your
I don't
farewell
know.
tour.
Just farewell. Yeah, it's always because that's when you can get them.
So the other,
On the hot dogs.
Yeah, on the hot dogs.
it's
It's a big concert fair.
I had my first San Francisco. I had never had one of those bacon wrap hot dogs it's always outside of stadiums and concerts in San Francisco until maybe 3 months ago. Those things are really good.
I had my first one in Ensenada, Mexico several years ago.
Yeah, it's good. Bacon wrapped hot dogs. People should make more of those.
You can't go wrong with bacon and hot
I
dogs.
just did
Two
lots
things
of
I
fair
love.
food last week.
Really?
Lots of big turkey legs.
What's your
That's
go?
the
You like
turkey leg,
you like
man.
fried sweets or you like the turkey leg?
Oh man, give me the turkey leg. Give me what's the big fountain or not fountain the giant donut thing with
Oh, the funnel cake.
funnel
cake.
cake.
Funnel
I'm
cakes
all
are
over
pretty
that.
good.
Oh, go to a photo booth. That's it. That's all I need.
Did you go to the carnival or did you go to State Fair?
Well, they're kind of
County fair.
It's county fairs.
Okay. Petaluma? Or is
It's
this
in
back
Santa
east?
Rosa.
Okay.
I've actually done two. There was a Petaluma
Sonoma
one,
County Fair.
and then the Sonoma County Fair, which
Man,
is
I
it's
wish
a
I'd
big
known
one,
this
man.
one. I like
a
the
good
If
one.
you
Sonoma
want to
County
see
Fair.
some intense quilts,
Yeah.
Alameda County Fair is good for that. The State Fair is pretty good for that too.
Yeah.
I'm not driving to Sacramento. It's too far.
You can go to the train. Oh wait, is the train museum a big deal for your child?
Not yet.
Okay.
She's a little bit into trains.
There's a
but
track.
I've been to that train museum before. It's
Yeah,
really
the horse
good.
track.
Yeah.
At Santa Rosa one.
they open up like a temporary track for
Really?
the Santa Rosa
Do you
Fair.
have
It's-
parimutuel betting the whole thing?
No, so that's the whole thing is that I don't understand. It's like, hey, this is a temporary track, so they must get like, okay, hey, bring your horses, but
Yeah.
the odds are ridiculous because like the horses are,
So,
kind of
so there is
known.
gambling, you're saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
And you can gamble on other tracks.
Right.
So it does have parimutuel
It's a-
betting.
yeah, it's a-
but it's
Nice.
but it's super weird because like, hey, you're bringing. It's not really normally a track, so I just assume it's all rigged.
Is it just some guy like Chet from down the street? He brings his old nag out, and you put the smallest person he knows
Nah,
on him.
It's suckers. It's all
Oh, okay.
families coming in.
Yeah.
with-
It's
carnies.
Yeah.
And they got like Russell Bays. They got
exactly.
people who ride horses there
Okay.
doing a proper thing. I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, no, it's
totally
awesome.
fun.
Good rodeo.
When we went
Yeah.
we went to that DARPA thing
Yeah.
in LA, that's at the LA Fairplex where they do the same thing. Like there's a racetrack there, but it seems like it's temporary because like all the betting windows and stuff were all like collapsible and folded up against the walls inside.
That setup reminded me a lot of what the Santa Rosa Fair is. That DARPA was
Yeah,
at.
they make their schoolhouse budget for the year in like 2 days or something.
I used to put so many like art pieces into their little, they have those little art museums inside.
Yeah, we did the first thing. We actually saw somebody who had crocheted a deer's head
Really?
and like made it as a
head-mounted thing?
art piece that you could put on a wall. We're like, we should contact those people. We want
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I would get one of those
It's
because
pretty neat.
I like taxidermy, but I'm kind of also
Yeah,
creeped out
exactly.
by it.
Oh, I love deer
Yeah.
heads, but it's also just like I don't need a dead animal.
dead
in my
eyes.
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like a joke one,
Yeah,
I'm there.
it's perfect.
The cardboard ones are pretty good.
Could you get a jackal? Oh, the
I didn't
cardboard
know
ones
there
are
were
pretty
cardboard
good.
ones.
Yeah.
Cardboard deer. Just search for cardboard deer head.
Do you make it yourself, or it's something that
I'm sure you can
purchase
get
and
a
put
kit.
together?
Yeah. It's laser cut, pre-cut, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean we have a
pop it
laser
out,
cutter.
snap it
If you
together.
find plans, we can do that as a project. You can come down, we'll put it together.
All
I'm gonna
right.
Make a
resist the
video.
Yeah.
staggering urge to Google laser cut deer head plan file kit.
Oh, I'm sure. There's vectors everywhere. You get that stuff, no problem.
There's vectors everywhere.
Okay, so like Windows 10 is out. That's a big deal. I think that the next story has some real long-term potential to change the way computers work and the way we use computers for a long time. So Intel and Micron on Tuesday, announced a new type of new type of memory. It's called Crosspoint. It's spelled X-point, but you say Crosspoint. They made that really clear. And it lives somewhere between the world of DRAM, which is what we use in like video cards and hooked up to the system memory and all that stuff, and NAND flash, which is what's in like SD cards and SSDs and stuff like that. So it's 1,000 times faster than NAND flash, but it's non-volatile. So like when you turn your computer off at the end of the day and you have an SSD and you have system RAM,
right.
The system RAM empties out because it needs power to keep the electrons in place that hold everything in that hold the data.
Hence volatile.
The NAND flash will store electrons until the heat death of the universe or cosmic rays hit them or whatever, but they don't need power running to keep the data in them. It's a really interesting. I did a little bit of a write-up. The interesting thing about this is DRAM is starting to not scale anymore. Mm-hmm. So DRAM, Moore's law says that you can double the number of transistors on something every 18 months to 2 years, and that hasn't been the case for DRAM. They're not able to make more, faster, bigger DRAM by shrinking process size and all the stuff that normally drives Moore's law. This stuff is process. It can scale both on process and it's three-dimensional. So they can stack layers. So they can make a wafer, stack layers on the wafers, so you can scale in two directions, which means it could be really huge. And it's like I said, it's 1,000 times faster than NAND, which means it's a little bit slower than DRAM, but not substantially slower. 10 times as dense as NAND flash, and priced somewhere between DRAM and NAND flash. So less expensive than DRAM, more expensive than flash. The thought is they haven't talked about any applications at all. The thought is that it's going to live in the system connected directly to the CPU probably. Mm-hmm. Maybe not at first. Probably it'll run out in like PCI Express SSDs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then we'll see architectures that are built to support that give you high speed, large capacity storage that's directly connected to the CPU.
Yeah, so we're just talking about pure RAM storage.
It's
possible.
But crazy fast. So if you're looking at things that use like massive data sets that need pattern, that do like image recognition, so you have say 20 terabytes of photos and you want to do pattern recognition on them, that's a bandwidth limited thing. So if you put it on a bunch of SSDs, it's going to run slowly. If you put it on this, it'll run a lot faster. It'll still not be as fast as if you put it in a RAM disk, but it'll be way cheaper to make a 3 exabyte RAM disk with this than a 3 exabyte RAM disk with actual DRAM.
Sounds exciting.
And more importantly, because it's non-volatile, it should make our PCs a little bit more like the tablets and stuff like that we're seeing now. So you hit the button, it suspends. There's no big Hibernate file that has to transfer RAM out to your SSD or something like that. It just all lives in this non-volatile memory, which is very exciting. So it's called Crosspoint. I think we'll probably hear more about it, including like actual applications, how you'll use it on at IDF in a few weeks. My hunch is that they're saying they're manufacturing now, shipping product in 2016. My guess is we'll see stuff for data centers early and probably like their next gen high end, high end chipset. Right. I can't remember the X99 replacement. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But it seemed pretty cool.
It is. I mean,
it seems real.
Yeah, super cache, amazing cache, awesome cache.
Well, but when we've seen high speed non-volatile memory before, right. It's always either been really power hungry, very expensive, or difficult to manufacture. And these guys, it seems like they've gotten all three. Intel and Micron have been working together on this for they've had a partnership for a decade and have been working on this for a substantial portion of that. So yeah, I mean, I'm. As always, you never know if the stuff's going to be real until it actually ships. But Intel doesn't generally announce stuff like this if they don't have something that's going to be real. Aside from Titanium,
that it was Intel and Micron, and part of me wondered, like, It's just I thought that was a curious partnership.
Yeah, Micron, man.
Well, Micron makes memory.
I understand that.
Intel makes CPUs.
I've always thought of them as being more competitors than collaborators.
They've been partners for a long time because if you look at it, Micron's usually the lead on new DRAM specs that Intel drives.
Okay.
So I mean, all that runs through JEDEC, but it's like they're competitors in terms of both owning lots of big fabs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Intel needs Micron. Micron needs Intel.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I love both companies.
Yeah, I try not to love any faceless multinational companies.
Well,
your heart's always going to get broken.
So
One of my
20th
first
century.
Pentium machines, man, was Micron. Back when they actually made pure PCs.
Oh yeah, those were good
That was
times.
sweet. That was like buying a Ferrari.
My first Pentium was an AST, I think.
Oh wow.
It was a Pentium 60, the pizza box style.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Pentium 60.
Pentium 60.
I remember when those were so fast.
You could
Oh
you
yeah.
could
Yeah,
jumper.
That was a giant leap.
I could change a jumper to get 10% more performance, make it a Pentium 66.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Is that no? Dun 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 dun. Is that it?
Oh yeah. There you go.
Did you see the thing about Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, and the Woz saying no to autonomous weapons and AI-powered weapons?
All I could think of was like this worked so well back in the 20th century when we still listened to science and scientists and they tried to stop nuclear proliferation. I mean, is that cruel of me to just automatically be like, yeah, uh-huh.
I mean, here's the thing. I think this was prompted by the Navy's drone program, right? So the Navy's drone program is more autonomous. Like right now, the Air Force's drones all have a pilot on a joystick and some screens sitting in a trailer someplace in Kansas.
Right.
The Navy's programs are more autonomous. They just say, hey, go here and blow this up, and then theoretically it should work itself out. Mm-hmm. I don't think that those drones are actually flying yet, but I think that that's the... Like, part of me says, yes, this is a real concern. We should be concerned about it. We should fight against this.
On one hand, I agree because the idea of an autonomous killing machine wandering through the skies, because technology, what can go wrong?
But those things carry 2 missiles. So like, what's the most they can do before a human has to reload them?
They carry 2 missiles now.
I'm more impressed that there is like a celebrity tech consortium that they like get together. Like they must have dinner. And they're
like super team.
You know what we got to do?
Do you think they have a club?
No, I'm waiting for like the song to come out. Like they all get together. They've got some purpose that they've decided they need to do.
So Elon's doing the melody. Stephen Hawking is doing like some backing vocal track.
Yeah,
and then
they
Woz
get
is
Quincy
just rapping.
Jones. It's just he's sitting there back in the table, just moving stuff along.
I see where this is going.
We are the scientists and the entrepreneurs.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Part of me though says Musk is building thousands of autonomous cars. Like he said, hey, the Tesla Model S have everything they need to be autonomous. We just have to get the software right. What? Like, there's nothing more dangerous than 100,000 cars that are controlled autonomously on the road. All Skynet has to do is convince everybody to get in their car at the same time, and then as long as it's an even number of cars,
I don't
just
remember
head-on collision.
You guys are scaring me too much. Like first is my furniture going at me, my cappuccino.
The cars are going to kill you, kill us all.
Your cappuccino disco ball machine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's a kind of a terrifying thought, right? So if all the I think this 4,000 will the car? Wow.
So the end of the world isn't going to be nuclear missiles. It's going to be non-deployed airbags and cars crashing.
Going to be somebody putting this thing in my car.
Yeah, the hack, the
the end of
land
my
turtle.
world.
But that's just it, though. If it's funny, right? Because
No, it's not funny, Patrick. That's the point. This is real shit we're concerned about, man.
Oh,
My car's out to kill me.
Your car's not out to kill you yet.
Give it time.
What I find interesting is, given that Tesla / Elon Musk just released what amounts to a firmware hack for their high-end Model S's that deliver this huge boost in performance.
They're charging a lot of money for that.
I agree.
I think you need a fuse too.
Okay, so a fuse and $10,000, and they give you some code, right? I'm wondering how long it's going to take for somebody to hack that code and put it on the internet, just because, given the user base of the people buying Teslas.
It's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time. Because with Tesla, security has been a big deal from the ground up. It has been called the most secure car that is being made in terms of technology, which is kind of like saying, it's the most secure, children's lock.
I got a
for
stick
door.
shift Toyota. It's pretty secure.
I got a 95 Dodge 2500 and a 92 Volvo. Yeah. I'm not particularly worried about Skynet.
Anything that doesn't have fuel injection is probably okay.
Well, mine has mechanical fuel injection. Thank you very much on my truck. I'm a little bit of like lead foil away from being completely EMP shielded. Like,
right. Which rooms in your house do you have a Faraday cage?
Not yet, but I really should think
Give it
about
time.
that. But the idea that there could be a software upgrade for the Tesla Model S's, then it becomes, at what point does that become this huge catnip for hackers to try to figure out how to get into there?
I mean, they most new cars, especially high-end new cars, have a cell connection at this point, right? So once that happens, they're on the network and they're just as vulnerable as all of our routers and all the other stuff, but they're much, much more dangerous. So, I mean, it comes back to the Jeep thing from a couple of weeks ago, but once we're actually dealing with autonomous cars and there's a massive number of them, are mostly identical, the code's not particularly hardened, there's a real chance for like mass murder on a scale like we've never seen before.
Or just simple mayhem.
Yeah. It's like Die Hard 4.
That one.
The fire sale.
One with, I think, Kevin Smith was
Shia LaBeouf and Kevin Smith. Yeah, Kevin Smith was the hacker.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, wasn't it Shia LaBeouf? LaBeouf?
I don't know.
He was in the fourth Die Hard, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Okay.
I like the movie, but,
It's up and down. Samsung's adjusting pricing on the Galaxy S6 after their earnings fell short. I skipped one, but we'll come back to it. I don't have anything else to say about that. It seemed like big news. There was a Kentucky man that was arrested for shooting down a quad. Now, we talked about the first one of these situations a couple weeks ago. A guy in Modesto shot down a quad that was hovering over his property. A guy in Modesto shot down a quad that was hovering over his neighbor's property because he thought that the three-letter agency was spying on him.
Wow.
Maybe a little unhinged. This one was a Kentucky man said a quad came down over his porch by his house, and he ran and grabbed a shotgun and took it down. Now, he actually did this seemingly, this is an Ars Technica story, fairly responsibly. He was using bird shot, so it's not going to carry, it's not going to do any damage to people around him if he misses. The people whose quad it was came to the house in a car and hopped out and started threatening him, and he said, look, if you step onto my sidewalk, I'm going to shoot you because you'll be trespassing. Maybe that's a bit far. He was arrested on charges of mayhem and damaging property. It's going to go to court, it seems like, because he's ready to fight. I think whereas the Modesto guy was a crazy person for shooting something over somebody else's property, I think this guy is entirely within his rights if you're trespassing with your quad.
It's gonna be boy, there's gonna be some interesting case law here, right? Because the whole commercial use of quads.
Well, this is not commercial. This is just for fun.
No, but I'm saying, like, the commercial use of quads has grossly trailed, the actual use of quads by any of a number of industries, right? And it's been this slow, meandering process, or what feels very meandering. It's been this slow process, and this basically comes down to, if someone is flying a quad on my property without permission, if the dumbass neighbor kid is taking pictures of my daughter in the pool in my backyard.
Which is what this guy was. He said he was flying by my daughter's window.
You know what I mean? Like
See, Dave suddenly has a different set of feelings about this.
I just like that the anti-aircraft method is birdshot.
Well, the birds are aircraft.
No, I know, but it's just amazing. It's like it's robot
very
thing
small,
in the sky.
Very small spread, lots of tiny shots.
Yeah.
Very effective for eliminating drones from flight.
I mean, it doesn't take much to take down a drone.
No. I was also laughing because somebody, Darren showed me a video this week of somebody had actually mounted a 9mm Glock on a quadcopter.
That is terrifying and idiot. The person is an idiot.
Well, yes.
No.
I don't,
there's no answer other than yes here.
It was gonna happen.
Yes, some idiot is going to do it.
Some idiot has done it, I thought.
Well, at least birdshot can take it down.
Yeah.
Well, but it's also this is when technology gets interesting, people.
I mean,
But yeah, it does. Like, I mean, because obviously airspace normally above a property is fine. Because
what actually is the case law for what constitutes your property and people invading your property?
We're going to have an altitude limit
Yeah.
that's going to be legally defined. That'll, if you're under 20 feet, you're fair game.
It may go to the Supreme Court to do it, or certainly to it's going to be interesting to see how this court case goes.
So the thing for me is that a lot of people have privacy concerns that people are going to spy on them with quads, and it's really hard to do because they're loud. Right, at least for now.
For now,
they make a lot of noise. It sounds like the angriest. It sounds like a buzzing hornet's nest, basically. And that'll probably change in the future. But I mean, I think we have to figure this stuff out the hard way.
EMP fences. No, man, because the quads the size of gnats are coming, and we're gonna have EMP fences wrapped around our property.
It's targeting lasers that will flash the sensors and burn out the sensors on the cameras. It's just that simple. It's just what we do. It's what we do to spy satellites. Motorola announced their new Android lineup this week.
I can't believe you're just walking away from that story with that.
What? Is that it?
Drop a little laser technology and you're out, man.
Hey, man, where was it? We were when we went to Nathan Mervold's place, who we don't usually speak of. He had his laser-killing mosquito killing lasers set up. So you're walking around the lab and they have, I think, what was it, green lasers that track the mosquitoes with radar and then fry them.
Wait, where was this?
This was at Modernist Cuisine 2-3 years ago.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
And so we were walking around and there's like all these little green zaps going on throughout the room.
Why can't I buy this on Amazon today?
You shouldn't buy it from Nathan. He's not a good person. He's
Fine.
the patent troll.
Okay. Complicated emotions right now.
Yeah, I know. I want the mosquito killing laser too.
Patent troll finally has something worth protecting and bringing out into the universe. Why? This is his pivot. Think of the life improvement if I can put my laser mounted whatever in the backyard instead of a citronella candle.
Yeah. Or the zapper. My next door neighbor's got a bug zapper, and it seems like a cool idea, but it's
the funniest I think the funniest moment I've ever had in a podcast was Robert Heron and I talking about being like in the 80s with in a relatively rural community without cable television and like sitting on the porch watching the bugs out.
Oh yeah,
we got more email about that.
I've done
common
that.
Experience.
You just sit there. It's just transfixing.
Yeah, and when a really big one
can
hits
of Pabst or Schlitz Lager on the boat dock.
Coors usually, but
Club Coors is solid. Yeah.
Stag is another great
drinking
beer.
entertainment.
Waiting for a dragonfly to hit it. Get that 4 or 5 second zap.
Did you guys see the video of the mayflies on the bridge in Minnesota or someplace?
No.
There was a video that popped up on Reddit or something the other day, and it may not have been mayflies, but it was basically a swarm of something hatched from this creek. And it seemed like a scene from a horror movie because the cops got called to come out and get it. And there was this bridge, and all you see is the inside of the cop car, and it's literally like millions of bugs surrounding it. When he opens the door to get out of the car, 500 bugs fly in, and they're buzzing around the inside of the car.
Oh my god!
And he disappears into this cloud of bugs immediately. Right? He was called because the dead bugs on the road were so slippery that people were skidding out of control as if the bridge was iced over.
Wow! And
they had to close the bridge. Like bring in sweet streepers and plows, and they had ankle deep bug corpses
that is so
after
gross.
this was done.
What
horrifying?
What happened?
They all hatched at once. I mean, stuff like that happens all the time in nature. When I was a kid, the creek by my grandmother's house had a bunch of frogs, and if the weather was just right, they'd all de-tadpole and become frogs at the same time, and you'd have 50,000 frogs on the street. Same basic effect.
You got to get those frogs to come clean up the mess of the bugs.
Exactly.
It's Magnolia, man.
It is. It's how Magnolia happens.
Yeah.
A tornado picks them up, and the next thing you know, it's raining frogs. We just had to go really slow because when you were squishing them into the road, the road was suddenly very, very slippery. Frog guts, super, super slidey. Is this? Am I okay? Can I move on? I feel like we've covered that enough.
I'm loving the podcast.
Could they
today.
bite? Were they biting anybody?
No, I don't think they were biting.
Consuming people to skeletal bones.
No. It wasn't like you were getting your skin flayed from you. I think that
because that would freak me out. That'd be a bad day.
Yeah, like it seems like the kind of thing you'd roll down the window a little bit, put your left hand out to do a tester. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how I take out the drones in my neighborhood.
Birdshot.
With well, I can't because among other things, it's actually illegal in my town to shoot to discharge a weapon without permission from like the city manager.
Really?
I'd just get
It's on the books, man.
Hakeem Olajuwon, and he would just sit in my front yard and just like swat him down.
There you go.
Hours of entertainment.
Should we take
Better than a bug zapper.
Should we take a moment and have a word from our sponsors? According to 100% of Zoom's marketing team, Zoom is the #1 video conferencing service of all time. Zoom combines video, screen sharing, and group messaging into one platform that runs across any device you can think of: Mac, PC, iOS, Android, and all the stuff already in your conference room. If you ask your average Joe what they're using for video or web conferencing at work, you'll usually hear the same story. I can't join the meeting. The video's choppy or laggy. I have a buggy interface, or the audio's bad. Zoom leaves all of those issues behind with an easy-to-use service backed by industry-leading functionality that is built for startups, universities, and enterprises alike. It has a fast, simple interface, HD video, desktop and mobile screen sharing, and cross-platform messaging. The mobile screen sharing feature is particularly useful for mobile game and app developers. It's easy to share the screen of any iOS device in a Zoom meeting to collaborate on design or demo features or UI. Sign up for your free Zoom account today at zoom.us/tested, and you can start hosting better video meetings immediately. There are no strings attached, no trials. It's really a free account. Try it now. Again, it's zoom.us/tested. We've used it here. It's really good. Now on with the show. Hey, we're back.
Hey!
You know, reading kids' books has helped me with ad reads.
Oh, yeah, because you can just go straight through them?
I just read them without thinking.
Yeah.
It's literally the Anchorman thing. It's like the prompter's going and you're just like, okay, just never stop reading.
Does your daughter get upset when you sort of emote or bring different character voices?
No, she actually requests substitutions all the time. So like sometimes the Three Bears will be about Goldilocks. Sometimes it'll be about her friends. Sometimes it'll be about our dog, Chloe Bananas and the Three Bears.
I've got an editor at home, so we mostly just pick apart the actual writing.
Yeah, the writing in kids' books
because it's always
real
like
up and down.
dialogue based, but they're always like telling you what people like. This person said this, rather than it should just be dialogue.
Yeah,
it should just be a script.
It's like a play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you do voices?
I took Vinny's advice. I can do voices and stuff, but Vinny kind of told me like, dude, don't do voices. You're gonna be doing voices.
Bad Dad Vinny Garavella.
Yeah, yeah. He was just like, so I leave them outside the stories because I think I would go nuts because you already read the same books over and over and over.
Yeah, I like that though.
Curious George just got that balloon down from the cage
Man,
like a million
let me
times
tell you,
at the zoo.
Curious George is a fucking nightmare. Curious George is a bad
So
influence.
I read it.
Curious George has been banned in my house.
Yeah.
I went to back to DC. So I went to the National Zoo. I went to the new Air and Space. By the way, go to the new Air and Space one.
The one
in
at
Reston.
Dulles?
Blew my mind.
Oh yeah.
I'm going. Yeah.
I had gone to like
give
all
yourself
that stuff as a
like
kid.
an entire day. Beg the spouse creature to take the kid.
Amazing.
If they're not into planes. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was there a couple months after it opened, and a quarter of it was empty, and I had 6 hours, and I still didn't spend half the time I wanted to.
Have either of you been to Wright-Patterson in Dayton, Ohio? The Air Force Museum there.
1,000 years ago.
Is it the same kind of scale as?
It's
Because that was the
basically
biggest
just
air museum.
giant hangars. They have the full like Enola Gay just sitting there.
Yeah.
That was. So it's
Sitting
so
next
big.
to a
A
Concorde.
707 like fits in there without any space. Then I turned the corner and the person who was with me was like, "Why have you been staring at that plane for like I just stopped for like 3 minutes." I'm like, "That's the Enola Gay."
Yeah.
He's like, "Huh?" I'm like, then I have to explain like what the Enola Gay is and where and the fact that they have all of this stuff. That was where I did the interview where I was, I got to pet a
It's
space
like
shuttle.
this office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just filled.
But
it's
filled
like
with
things
good stuff.
hanging
Yeah.
from the air. It's
Well,
just
they started they started going through the inventory. There was like the guy who runs the kind of like the space division of the Smithsonian. He was like, "Yeah, we found a Mercury capsule we didn't have, so we're cleaning that up to put on display."
Of course.
Like Mercury
why not?
capsule.
and I saw that it's now up. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So 20 years ago probably, one of my all-time favorite museum tours is the Air and Space Museum's Paul E. Garber facility, which is up in Maryland, and it's the place that they do the restorations.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you can see all of like the stuff. So when I did that last time, the Enola Gay was in process. and it was just like this rust. It was a Hulk basically. So I'm super stoked to see what it looks like now.
Shiny.
It's incredible.
I'm sure it's gorgeous.
It's flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. Yeah, I've been reading about that restoration center since I was a kid, and I just remember, reading an article where they talk about that they were basically creating like a new shock absorber for the landing gear for a Messerschmitt.
Yeah.
And it's like
they really rebuild stuff that hasn't been built in 50 years because they want to have it perfect.
They also have lots of like one-off planes, like these just strange prototypes. Like, oh look, here's the tiniest plane in the world that was used in the 80s.
Do they have like the X-29 and X-planes and stuff like that there? Is that still all downtown?
Most of that's still downtown.
What's the Blackbird? They've got a full Blackbird.
An SR-71?
Yeah,
Nice.
just like when you walk in, it's like that's your greeting plane.
That's awesome.
But it's crazy just to see. You've got the Enola Gay there, and then it's a full Concorde.
Yeah.
Like just right next to it. It's like no big deal.
Can you go into the Concorde?
No, they've got some simulator things that you can do, like space simulators. They've got a bunch of those set up. They have a whole. It's basically two hangars. One hangar's all the air stuff. The other hangar, which is smaller, is the space stuff, and just
there's a space shuttle just sitting in there,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So there's
I'm
lots.
super stoked.
It's pretty fun, and it's cool to see those things because it's like that thing's beat up.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, well, I wonder why.
It went to space a bunch.
Yeah, it's been there and back.
See what you like after a few atmospheric reentries.
They're pretty cool.
What, dozens probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were getting ready to talk about Motorola's Android lineup. They rolled out new hardware. I only put one of them on the list, but the Moto X Style Pure comes in two versions: the stock, and then there's also a Pure version, which is like stock Google, stock Android, which is welcome given that everybody else seems to have backed away from doing that. They seem to be focusing a lot on cameras. They're doing a 5 megapixel front camera, 21 megapixel rear camera. They claim that they've done a bunch of stuff to make the software and the image processing and all that really good.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we'll see more when we actually have hardware.
Well, I mean, a lot of the things that needed to be fixed in Android for better photography was done in the last version of, basically in Android 5.
Yeah.
I was blown away. The Moto G is amazing. It's ridiculous for
the price.
For $184, what you're getting. Okay, it's not the fastest processor out there, but it's 4G LTE, a 13 megapixel camera, and it's not about megapixels. It's about the quality of the sensor and the processing. But the pricing and the one they're doing is the Moto X that they're doing is the top of the line phone. It's like $399, and the specs are ridiculous. 3 gigabytes of RAM, a really good
$399 off contract.
$399 off contract. That's like the 16 gigabyte version, but you can do a micro SD card. But they're amazing phones for the money, and it's a pure Android experience. Like I'm so frustrated by what Samsung and LG and pretty much everybody else on the planet do to Android, which is make it incredibly difficult to use, in my opinion. But yeah, it's getting to the point where it's kind of stupid to buy a phone on contract.
Especially if you're an Android user.
If you can scrape together $184, do not sign up for a 2-year contract.
Yeah. But if you don't sign up for the 2-year contract, you're paying for a subsidy that you don't get. Because unless you're on T-Mobile, you don't get a better price if you're not buying contract phones.
Well, T-Mobile's looking really good too.
If you are someplace that is well served by T-Mobile, T-Mobile is what I would probably
erratic.
Either T-Mobile or Sprint is what I would be buying now. But honestly, since I switched to Verizon, when I go places like Comic-Con and E3 and CES where normally you don't have cell service and my phone works, I'm not moving away from Verizon.
Well, I mean, Verizon and AT&T both work pretty well at CES. I've never been to Comic-Con, so I can't comment.
Comic-Con is usually a nightmare. Norm's phone has been better at Comic-Con in recent years. It seems like they've worked out a lot of that problems with the later LTE revisions.
I have a Norm question, but Norm's not here.
I'm here.
Where are the 2015, cosplay pictures? I had 3 people like, you're going to Tested? Where are the Comic-Con pictures?
So Norm's going to Dragon Con. Dragon Con is where the cosplayers go to cosplay. So he's going to do a Dragon Con cosplay gallery to make up for the lack of the Comic-Con cosplay gallery.
There's weeping, by the way, now all over the world as people listen to this, as people contemplate the idea of Dragon Con.
Dragon Con
cosplay photos.
Dragon Con cosplay is usually a whole you went, right, Joey?
Yeah, Dragon Con's more of the people who craft crazy costumes, and
it's like it's
the
a
inner
place to show
circle.
off your work, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of industry guys there who just come with 4 costumes. So
Do you have one of my favorite things? I don't. Maybe I should call it a favorite. But one of the things that always surprised me about the cosplay gallery at Comic-Con is you get people down from Los Angeles that may be pornographers, and then people will pick them out in the comments.
Oh yeah.
Is that happening at Dragon Con too, or not so much?
I didn't see so much of that at Dragon Con. There was definitely a lot of familiar faces. Like, from being at 5 Comic Cons and however many WonderCons, like, you see a lot of the same people, right? Like, Dragon Con had a bit of that. It was more serious. Like, a lot less actors, a lot less porn stars.
Fewer people that you've seen from, like, CSI Miami guest spots and stuff like that. Yeah.
If you haven't seen the Dragon Con cosplay that Norm did 2 years ago, you remember that one, right?
Yeah, his gallery there was unbelievable.
It was pretty cool. It was more of like a street photography route, where it was like a lot of just kind of voyeuristic looks on these, Spider-Man eating some pizza.
I'm waiting for 10 years from now when he's in New York he has a gallery
of cosplay photos
with like a nice goatee going.
Yeah, it's just like his work. Evil Norm.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Like very nice suit. I think he can pull it off. His pop gallery.
I love, like, the thing that's neat about Dragon Con is that it's not like at a convention center. It all just takes place in lobbies and ballrooms of like 3 hotels.
It's like 3 or 4 hotels that are all linked together through tubes.
Like underground.
Like meat tubes.
It's Atlanta's underground, right? Is that where it is?
What?
It's in like Atlanta's underground. Is that what they call that area?
Maybe it's like downtown Atlanta
thing.
Well, it's not underground. So if you look up, if you're in the street, you look up, you can see the tubes of just people.
Oh, okay.
So they call them meat tubes, and it just connects throughout the hotels.
Gross.
And then you just hang on the lobbies, and the lobbies are where like everything happens, like the bar lobbies. And
gross.
And there's some good panels. That's the first time I met Mark Satrakian, and he was doing a panel there about all of his Hellboy stuff,
robotics and
stuff.
Yeah,
and all of his cool robotics.
It's a good event if you can get in. It's a little hard to get into now, but I think Norm's found a way. And he'll have a gallery from that. We didn't do a gallery at Comic-Con this year because Adam did 3 costume walks. Right. Frank did the Rancor. Bill and Frank did the District 9 gun.
Which is up today.
Yeah, that actually is up right now. And it was just too much. Like that, getting 800 photos at Comic-Con that are good is basically 30 hours of work plus another few hours of processing.
And it is work.
And he didn't have. It's brutal.
No, I'm saying that because like getting 50 decent shots at CES is a nightmare, and nothing you're taking pictures of is generally moving at CES.
Right.
So to actually get people in costumes at an event that big, just the number of people who like walk between you and what you're taking a picture of,
and that they come out so nice, like decent lighting, well shot.
Well, he's gotten really good at like stage directing the cosplayers, and the cosplayers are into it because they want like everybody involved wants to get the best shot possible. You did a video maybe 2 or 3 years ago that you followed him around when he was shooting the gallery.
Yeah,
it was like a making of gallery video kind of.
Yeah,
and if you want to know why it's hard to do this, you should watch that because it's really much more involved than you would think, and the volume. Like basically, in order to get 800 photos, it means that he has to spend a substantial amount of time on Friday and Saturday, the 2 big cosplay days, and
the signal to noise
taking
ratio
pictures.
is pretty painful.
Yeah,
I could see him all weekend just getting weirded out by not having a camera. Like, walking with him, you kind of see him look around.
He would start to point and and then be like,
"Oh, I gotta let this go."
Just have my phone.
Just gotta let it go. It's something that I think works much better for photos and video.
Yeah, the photos are really good.
Everyone has, like Norm says, everyone has kind of two poses, right? So they want to take a picture, they do their first pose. All right, take another picture, and they do their second pose.
Yeah.
With video, it's a little tough because you see all that, and it's probably not that.
It's too much sausage making and not enough sausage.
Yeah, I like photos of those things, less video.
GameSpot did that 3D one.
I thought that was cool.
1 year while I was there.
With like 800
It
GoPros.
was interesting.
Like, I mean, I know that there were technical challenges getting it all working right, but I thought like the idea of showing a 360-degree photo of the really cool concept.
Yeah.
Google Translate now translates 27 written languages instantly. Have you guys used this? This spun out of WordLens. WordLens was an application that we tested years ago in the Whiskey Happy Hour, I think, where we wrote a bunch of stuff in Spanish, and then you hold up the camera in front of it, and it kind of augmented realities the foreign words into English words, like live while you're watching. Google bought WordLens. Previously did 7 languages. I think it was like Spanish, French, German, Japanese, and Chinese. A couple other things. Now it does 27 written languages instantly. Works the same way. I tried it. It remains badass. So if you're traveling someplace that you're in a foreign country, or even if like you're someplace where where it's in English and French, and like I use it at foreign restaurants. Like when I go to like a Spanish restaurant or Portuguese restaurant or something, and they have they don't tell you what things are in English. You just hold up word lines, and it's like, oh, okay. What was
we did it for the
DARPA? Yeah,
the sangria bar.
Yeah,
it was always written sangrias with words that I was like, I don't know what that is. Oh, peach. Okay, I think sangria was the same though.
I like peaches. Yeah, sangria is just sangria.
Yeah.
So is it a physical app you download to your phone?
Yeah,
a physical app.
If you just download Google Translate. I think I have it on my phone still. Probably. Let me see. Do we have any translate? There we go. Do we have anything that's not in English? No. Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah. Okay, never mind. It works instantly though. It's literally, it feels like magic. Like it's one of those things that you look at and you show people who don't know that it exists, and it seems like it's something that you wouldn't expect. And it's on. I don't know if the update has come to the iOS version yet. It's definitely the Android version.
I was blown away at DARPA. I didn't even know that thing existed.
You were there when we did the happy hour, Joey.
Maybe, yeah.
Anna wrote a bunch of really horrible things in Spanish, printed them out, and then we translate them live on air. We also Google search on Android now can show you busy times at businesses. So when you search for a local business, you search for your grocery store, you search for Best Buy. It looks at the location data that it collects from millions of anonymized Android users and can say, okay, Tuesday at noon, that's the slow time to go to Costco.
Oh, funny.
Tuesday at 2 p.m., it's going to be a madhouse there.
That's not bad.
Seems useful.
Yeah.
It's not real time. Like, you're not getting actual real time metrics.
And it's just an estimate.
It works the same way traffic estimates do. Yeah.
That's why they got to stop shooting the drones out of the sky so they can do the real time estimates at Costco.
Yeah. Just, we have the phone tracker drones right there. Researchers demonstrated the world's first white lasers this week. This is really interesting. Yeah, did you not see this?
No.
I pulled one over on you. So they built a wafer using nanotechnologies that basically let them put different compositions of materials on different parts of the sheet. So they have like a cadmium section over here and a gallium section over here. And when they excite the different areas, they can get different colors to come from each one that they then combine, and it makes a white laser.
Better LEDs.
Yeah. So the big things are communications, because white lasers can carry more data in different bandwidths, different frequencies. Right. Efficiency of LEDs are going to go up dramatically. I mean, these won't be LEDs, obviously, but once we replace our LED bulbs with laser bulbs, the efficiency, it's like the same level of improvement that you saw going from CFLs to LEDs in terms of power consumption per lumen.
Now you can kill mosquitoes and shoot drones.
And sensors. Mosquito killing, yeah, definitely. I mean, imagine what a DLP projector looks like when it's illuminated by lasers instead of just crappy old LEDs.
Pretty badass, actually.
Yeah. That is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. And also they were talking about wireless data transfer. So a wireless, what is it? Li-Fi is what they called it. Light fidelity, I guess, is what it stands for. Maybe it's Wi-Li. I'm not sure. But anyway, point is data transfer over using light for like ambient situations, because light sensors and lasers you theoretically can do much lower power two-way data connections with that stuff. And maybe even
don't we call that
throughput.
Fiber optic?
But without the optic, without the fiber. It's
Sorry.
just optic.
Optic connections.
Exactly. Obama put out an executive order earlier this week that says the U.S. must build an exascale supercomputer that would make it about 30 times faster than current machines. It's an executive order, so I assume that means it's going to happen. Yeah. This is how Skynet starts, man. Between the cars, the exascale supercomputers.
There's so many vectors for Skynet now. Like first it was Google, and now it's is it going to be Google, or is it going to be Tesla? Is it going to be Google? Is it Tesla? Is it going to be?
It's all of them together. That's what Skynet is. It talks to all of them.
That's why you have that celebrity consortium of scientists.
This is Obama's
They're going to get together,
trying to get in there.
I think just what I imagine the celebrity consortium of scientists doing is that like Woz and Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking are building portable EMP guns so they can just murder computers left and right.
How come Tyson wasn't there, man?
He's on the machine side, man. He's a patsy. Better
flying around in his 3D ship.
I was trying to get a better Red Than Dead alternative with silicon in there, but I got nothing. There's an Android. There's a challenge. You guys know the song "Happy Birthday"? You know, I can't sing it because it's copyrighted. But
in our house, it's called "Party Song."
Party Song.
I sing it all the time because my kid just loves the song.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you.
Can we hear "Party Song"?
2-year-olds love birthdays.
No, they just. I don't think she even understands the concept of it being a birthday. She just loves the song.
My kid likes watching people open presents. She likes cake and she likes ice cream, and she likes the song, and also is into fire. Strangely enough, so it's probably not good.
It's just
that
everything
last one.
together.
Yeah,
because you blow the candles.
So the song "Happy Birthday to You" was written and copyrighted and is owned by I think Warner Music or licensed through Warner Music. They are notorious for going after everyone from restaurants to YouTube podcasts to anyone that uses the song without paying their licensing fees.
Not quite as vicious as the NFL, but certainly on the short list.
It's right up there. They're super serious about it. Everybody thinks it's an old song and that it's public domain, so that everybody can just use it.
It's not.
But it's not. Except,
but wait,
maybe there's a challenge to the Happy Birthday lawsuit, and the people that are challenging it found a smoking gun in the form of a book. They found a blurry version of the 15th edition of the Everyday Songbook, which was published in 1927. The book contained Happy Birthday lyrics. The lawyers for the plaintiffs, I can't remember what the lawsuit was about. A couple of people were making a documentary about the song "Happy Birthday to You,"
right?
And they wanted to use it they're suing Warner Chappelle for the right to use the song in the documentary without paying the license,
which is a press in itself.
Fair use. That should fall under fair use because it's a derivative work that is reporting on or covering the thing. Anyway, they found documents in the disclosure documents provided by Warner Chappelle that it probably has pre-existing history that puts it outside of copyright.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this is a developing story, but next time you go to Chevy's or Applebee's or Chili's or TGI Fridays or Macaroni Grill, you may have them actually sing "Happy Birthday to You."
That's one of my biggest fears.
Instead of happy birthday
to
you. All of us
Strangers
to you.
singing like having attention on you. I can't stand it.
When we go to lunch after this, I'm gonna tell them it's your birthday.
God, damn it. Now it fears out.
Every time we ever eat again,
somebody's gonna see me at a restaurant. They're just gonna point it. Oh, no.
Remember when we used to go to Outback by the old South Sausalito office all the time? If I had known this, so many times.
Would be the new Dave the website is down.
Oh, the one by the former location of the Best Buy.
Yeah, that was gone now, right?
The Best Buy is gone, but the Outback lives on.
Yeah,
it's a strange Outback.
It's totally strange Outback.
When Gina,
I got stories. I'll tell you about that.
You've seen some dark shit in that Outback.
It's not for podcasts.
That's where we accidentally bought the Xbox that was not an actual Xbox.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
Was it
a box with a brick inside of it?
No. It's not worth getting into. Yeah. It was a mistake to mention it. Gina and I, when we first moved here, we couldn't find a place that we could get steaks in San Francisco that was cheaper than, say, Morton's.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, we looked up on MapQuest to find out where the nearest Outback was. We went to Sausalito to that Outback to have a bad steak at the Outback.
They're terrible.
It's not good. It's so salty.
It's made out of kangaroos.
Kangaroo tastes good.
It's also expensive to bring over here.
My dog ate kangaroo for a while because she had food. They thought she had food allergies, and when you have an animal that has food allergies, they give novel proteins. So it's either salmon, some kind of fish, or kangaroo are your two options.
That's my new punk rock band name. Novel proteins.
Novel protein allergy.
That's pretty good.
Novel proteins.
Yeah.
There's an Android exploit for 4.3 and newer devices. It basically turns the screen off, renders the device silent, so it's on. You think it's off. It seems like there's not a whole lot you can do to fix the problem. It's not in the wild yet, so presumably there'll be a fix soon.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Amazon Dash buttons can now be bought by Prime members for $5 each. Do you remember what the Amazon Dash button is? Do you know
It'll automatically buy like my cereal.
Yeah, so if you like Procter and Gamble stuff, bink! It's a little button that's about the size of like one of those little mini Altoid tins. Mm-hmm. You stick it on your washing machine. It has a Tide logo on it, and when you run out of Tide, you mash the button, and then Amazon sends you some more shit.
Is that real?
That is a real thing that you can do in the world today.
The crazy thing is still that you have to pay for it.
Well, I mean, this isn't some utopia. Yeah. This isn't Star Trek, man.
No, but
we're walking down the Blade Runner path, not the Star Trek path.
I just think that it's weird that they like. Why would you're paying for the convenience of buying? I don't know. It's always been.
We
strange
pay
to me.
$5.
But it's $5.
You know what it is?
Like
Procter
I'm
and
using them as a
Gamble
service.
has done so much to advance the science and technology of marketing that they are so far ahead of the game. They're now basically like inventing weird, stupid ways of selling products and then trying to figure out if they can get the rubes to pay for them.
I bought the one for the Cottonelle toilet paper. I'm going to put it right where the toilet paper lives in our linen closet, so that when I get down there and I'm like, there's 2 rolls left, it's time to hit the button. I'm going to hit the button.
I'm the terrible person that gets dog food delivered.
I get
What's
a
terrible about
shameful
that?
number of things delivered.
Diapers. Oh, diapers.
I hate
man.
going to Target.
They're just giant boxes.
Yeah.
See, that's why I go to Costco. Like, and
I got Costco
we did
too. I do
diapers.
it.
We had Amazon deliver diapers.
I stopped Costco because I got tired of waiting in the like. If you live in some place where there's not millions of people, Costco is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Here, Costco is easily a half-day endeavor.
I can do well. One, I figured out how to time Costco, and 2,
Use that
the
new
amount of
Google
food
search?
that my boys
Oh, wow.
eat just pretty much means for certain things Costco is the only affordable option.
I can see that.
You need to give them novel proteins.
Just get some Bachelor.
There's a thin line between novel protein and not spending the day figuring out something that the child will eat.
So I ordered one for the toilet paper. I'll let you know how it goes. I think in order for it to be useful, I have to put it in an area that is accessible by my daughter.
So it's already dirty.
It could be a mistake.
Well,
Like, because she's going to see the button. She likes pressing buttons. And we're going to have, like, a pallet of toilet paper show up.
But we remember that it'll only do one unless you go to, because we had this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, all I could think is my 3-year-old going like, bing, 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 and then
Yeah.
the weeping Amazon delivery person with the pallet of.
No, it's literally that the 18-wheeler pulls up outside. It's like, hey, where do you want this?
You're supposed to have a loading dock for this kind of
Yeah.
volume. Have you done the Amazon same day delivery yet?
No, they don't do it in Pacifica.
So they turns out they do it in Alameda.
That must be nice.
Well, I didn't choose it. It was just but
It's like a weird place for it.
Yeah, well, it's in between Oakland and Emeryville and San Francisco, so I think it just
Comes off the boat.
But what was funny about it is I'm sitting I'm repairing basically repairing a Volvo engine. Like I'm in full redneck mode at this point. I'm in the front yard. I'm like wrenching a valve cover off of the car so I can fix this plug that fell out of the back of the Volvo engine. Weird design. Don't want to get into it. And these 2 guys stop. Like the classic aggressive stop where, I'm under the hood and all of a sudden there's a dude in the window of his car looking at me and goes, "Are you Patrick Norton?" And I'm like, is this a fanboy moment? And he's looking very aggro and he's got 2 Amazon boxes in his hands. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like unmarked sedan, dude at the wheel, dude in the passenger thing. I'm like, yes, I am. And he flings the box out the window to me. I catch it and they peel off, go like 50 yards, turn around and go back out to do.
Wow.
So I guess they're like Amazon employees are doing these deliveries on their way home.
Well, Amazon bought OnTrack. And so it's probably the old OnTrack stuff. And the OnTrack guys are always like unmarked
I have
molester
an
van.
intimate relationship with the OnTrack delivery people.
Yeah.
This was not this was like somebody's car.
Oh, this is just some
with
dude.
2 guys in it.
It's the gig economy, man. It's firing up right now.
This was making TaskRabbit look like General Electric. I mean, it was.
I like TaskRabbit. TaskRabbit's really useful.
I like the idea. I've never had a chance to use them.
I got them to deliver a birthday cake when we had a party for my kid one year.
Wow.
And the birthday cake was in San Mateo, and just we were
You're
out
going
of
to
time.
spend the whole day. Worse than Costco.
Yeah. Well, no, we just had to. Yeah, so I was like, hey,
She really likes cake.
Kid loves cake. Let me tell you.
San Mateo special cake. What was it?
Like
a special? Did it look like something?
No, it had sprinkles on the side.
So it's just a regular cake.
This was for the first birthday, so it wasn't a party for her. It was a party for Gina and me.
Yeah, but
this was the hey, we survived.
Sounds like
party.
a regular cake.
It was a pretty nice cake.
All right.
Has she tried pie yet? Change it up.
She likes pie.
All right, both.
I mean, when you don't give somebody sweets for the first year or 2 of their life, then when you introduce even a grape to them, they're like, "This is the best thing in the world. I would like to eat all of these things." Anyway, Google's bringing internet to all of Sri Lanka using Project Loon. Project Loon's the balloons.
So they're beta testing Project Loon
on a country.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it seems pretty good. Unless...
Watch out, internet.org.
Right. Razer bought the Ouya. I don't know if you remember Ouya. That was the Android 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 console. They sold on Kickstarter for $99.
I'm sorry for laughing, but the whole there's all these indie game developers, and I feel bad because they were promised money that they didn't get because Ouya went out of business.
Yes.
And it sounded exactly like indie record labels 20 years ago.
It's very
when all
similar.
The distributors went down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, but it's like, we're not getting our money. I'm like, well, sure, you can go into the same queue with everybody else.
So the good news is, Razer bought Ouya, and
Right.
they're saying they're going to honor the debts.
Really?
That Ouya incurred. Because the deal was, if you built a game for the Ouya, then you got a certain amount of money.
Right.
I think they matched your Kickstarter or something. I
Yes.
can't remember, up to $50,000. So if you were building for Ouya, then you would basically double your Kickstarter. Razer's going to honor those agreements, at least in
Well, good
many
for them.
cases, it seems like. So that's really good.
That's awesome.
The Lexus hoverboard, did you guys see this? I thought this was good. It is a... basically, they took... One of their engineers was like, hey, we could build a hoverboard. And they did it using superconducting magnets and...
Sorry.
Geez, Patrick.
2-hour parking.
Oh, okay. They were using liquid nitrogen, superconducting magnets, and mag locking. So they have a hoverboard that hovers. It looks like about 3 inches off the ground.
It needs to be a steel skate park, which is the only downside.
I think I think there's even more to it than that. But yeah, they had like professional skateboarders doing. They're going to do something in August sometime.
I mean, it's
where they show it actually working.
If you haven't seen the video, it's outrageous because the first thing you think is like hoverboard, the second thing you think is fake, and then the third thing, like after like 40 seconds of realizing it wasn't fake, was like Lexus.
I thought Lexus immediately when you said Lexus. I was like, wait, Lexus?
Lexus.
Yeah, that
the
Lexus.
car, Toyota, fancy Toyota.
They're just somebody's really bored at Lexus.
I think marketing stunts.
Yeah.
Marketing stunts are harder and harder these days.
Right.
In a world full of wonders, you have to make even more wonders. Nintendo cleared April-June profit in their April-June quarter. They made money despite expectations, thanks mainly to Amiibo, Puzzle and Dragons, and Splatoon for the Wii U. So that's good. The big question at Nintendo is who succeeds Iwata. He died several weeks ago, kind of unexpectedly.
Just want like a mascot to take over.
You think Mario?
Like, you know how Japan has all those town mascots? Have you ever seen any of that?
No.
You haven't heard about any of this?
Please explain.
Okay. So in Japan, it's become a really big deal for every town. Like pretty much almost every small town has their own mascot.
Like hold on.
Like sports team mascot?
Yeah, are you talking about like
Clippy? No, like hey, I'm going to dress up in this costume. I'm an adorable raccoon.
like the Philly Fanatic.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Are they're like foam baseball style mascots,
Yes,
or are they
are
like
huge?
sometimes a man in a costume? Are they like Power Rangers?
You
Can
can
that be a
always tell when
mascot?
someone
It is.
hasn't been to Japan because something that doesn't even tick the threshold of weirdness in Japan, Japanese culture is like you're like what a full size man like
It's,
I have not been to Japan. I want to go to Japan.
So it's nuts.
Okay, so
It's very nuts. It's one of the two things that the other one is that you can basically pay to support a town and you get gift boxes back.
really,
Yeah, it's two sources of income for like smaller towns because everybody moves to the city.
yeah.
So these smaller like mountain towns are basically like, you can support your local town,
Right.
And through like a tax-free sort
Like
of thing,
adopt
you can
a town?
You can donate to the town. You're supposed to do it towards your old hometown. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you moved out, but you give money back. But what they've done is because it's a gift-giving culture, like they send back goods to that person.
And is it like
as,
stuff
as
that's
a thank
representative
you.
of that town? Like if they make pecans
They
there, they
try
send some
to.
pecans.
So that's now the problem is that people aren't necessarily sending money back to their towns. They're sending money back to whoever gives them the best gifts. So it becomes like these weird like marketing scams. They just have like these crazy scams that exist.
It's this yeah. Okay.
But no, you can watch these videos of like these Japanese towns with these mascots, and you'll see hundreds of mascots. Like
you think
each
there's a
for each
mascot
town.
convention?
I think they get together. It's a big deal for each town. Like they have to like very carefully like think of it. And some of them are goddamn scary.
For example,
Just like lots of teeth.
Okay.
Like shark-looking
Like weird
things.
tentacles?
Yeah, and it's like kids love mascots. So there's all these videos of like, town that's got like the crazy Godzilla-looking monster thing, and then kids just running away.
What am what is your charity sign? The giant tentacled soul eater from hell with giant teeth and laser eyes and glass.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
There's got to be like a directory of all of these so that you don't make your town mascot the same. Wow.
Yeah, like a big part of the culture is like they're saying like, this is what we're like. This has become like their gateway funnel into government. You know, it's like people are like, should we be spending time on this? You know.
All right, some of these costumes are kind of half-assed.
One of these is like a daikon.
They're all nuts, man.
There's a knockoff Totoro. This is bananas. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go on YouTube after this podcast is over. I want the mascots to get supersized and fight each other.
Well, I'm sure
I can dream
when the robot army takes over.
The last thing on news, I don't know anything about this other than I saw that at Gamescom, CSC announced an American Truck Simulator, the follow-up to Euro Truck Simulator, one of my all-time favorite dumb games.
I'm afraid to run that game because there's an off-road version of it too, and I keep thinking like I've done really well for the last, since my child was born and not like picking up a 24-hour-a-day marathon video gaming habit. Mm-hmm. And all I can think is like Truck Simulator is just stupid enough that I might be able to obsess about it enough to just ruin my relationship with my family.
You could probably also leave. You could just walk away while it's kind of pulling down the highway.
Yeah, there's a reason I've been sober since I was 19. It's just not, no, it'll never work out that way.
So the magical, like, Euro Truck Sim is one of those things that I always have on my computer because, like, when I get stressed out about something, I need to kind of just chill out and zone out.
Yeah.
I jam Euro Truck Simulator on, hook the steering wheel up in the office, and I put on the goggles, and I VR into Euro Truck Sim, and I just drive a big 18-wheeler from, like, Milan to Minsk.
That's what I do with flight sims.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
And people think I'm insane because I like driving to Las Vegas.
Listen, Patrick, I'm going to blow your mind. The radio in Euro Truck Sim picks up local radio station streams for wherever you're driving. So when you're driving around, you have to adjust the radio.
You're listening to Czech pop songs.
What's your handle?
On I don't have a handle.
Just in general, you don't have like what's that?
So you can drive around and like make a convoy.
Yeah, and there's that other country song that's about the little bear where his dad died. Okay, there's a country song there's a country song that's about truck driving. That's like a little boy talking on the CB radio, and like he ends up talking to other truck drivers, and so the song is from the point of view of the truck driver talking to this little boy.
Teddy Bear.
Yeah, Teddy Bear. Teddy Bear is his handle.
He refers to himself as Teddy Bear.
And then
I guess his name's Ted.
The story of the song is basically that all the truck drivers go to this kid's house and then let him like hang around in the cars while they drive around.
That sounds awesome.
It's just
sad.
weird. It's one of those weird like country songs that just kind of blows
your mind. It's like Convoy
by Red Sovine.
Yeah, Convoy's weird too. Yeah.
Convoy's an angry movie.
That's a whole different thing. Yeah. Let's play some music and then talk about what we've been testing. This week, my wife and daughter went to the East Coast to hang out with family in advance of my vacation, where I leave next Friday. So they left on Tuesday, which is like 10 days all by myself.
Weird.
My house is really quiet. The dog is perennially freaked out. And as I was walking her last night, as I was getting ready to go in and make a dinner for one person, which is always a little sad, I wondered, I brought her in, I scooped her food out. She gets all of the food she needs nutritionally, one scoop, twice a day. Why is there no bachelor chow? Why is there not like a cereal type thing? You put some milk in, and it gives you everything you need.
There is.
I'm not. The soylent makes you too farty.
What about vitamins?
Yeah,
vitamins. It's a fourth wave ska.
We're ska.
Yeah.
You think the Soylent was going for that?
I think that's what Soylent's trying to do. But man, I don't want anything to do with that stuff. I'm farty enough naturally.
I mean, but it is. I mean, essentially, what was the name of it? What was the name of it in The Matrix?
Oh, it's just slop, is what he calls it, right? Yeah. Tastes like tasty wheat, is what he called. Is what he said. It's one of that's one of the giveaways that is shot in Australia, because nobody here knows what the fuck tasty wheat is. Americans.
All right.
We talk about Windows 10 a lot. That's where I spent most of my time this week. Dave, what have you been testing? What have you been into?
I built a table.
What kind of table?
Wow. bought a frame for a standing desk, and then I went and built like a nice top for it.
Nice. Beech wood?
Beech and mahogany.
Nice.
So
what color is beech stained to? Does it get dark or is it light?
It's a yellowish.
Okay.
It's definitely a yellowish sort of stain. It looks real nice, very classy. And I put the mahogany, which kind of is a red.
I think we have some pictures
for some accents, which was fun.
Whoa!
That's it.
That's an amazing wallpaper, Dave.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
What's your wallpaper?
I don't know. The one on the left is what is it? Citizen, whatever the flight sim, the space.
I care about the one with the space suits on the right.
I don't even know what that one's from, but it's awesome because it's basically just like an astronaut holding like a cute alien that is now attacking him.
Perfect. Okay, so this is what it looks like on top.
Awesome terrarium.
Underneath. So my big deal. Yeah, thanks. The big deal was that I wanted something. I have so many goddamn things because I've got like DACs and NAS drives and all kinds of things.
Is that a power supply or is that a NAS? That's
the big
a Synology.
one. That's a Synology NAS. Okay. And then so everything's underneath. I put a bunch of pegboard underneath, and then use zip ties to get it all together. So then you can't see any of the wires, and it looks really messy here.
But from up top.
Go back. Yeah.
You can't see it from up top.
Well, except for that giant bolus of cables.
Those were like the last ones. This was a really old picture.
The dangling cable scrotum.
And it doesn't impact it doesn't cause the legs to bind as they're going up and down or anything?
No, there's like an umbilical cord that just sort of runs with it.
So you have just basically power and network coming into the table, and then everything else spins out from under there. That's
and the other thing that I had problems with like regular standing desks is I need a little bit of space. I don't want shit just piling up on my desk.
This is an audio podcast, so we should probably paint more pictures here too.
I built drawers underneath that are open drawers, so it's kind of like shelves that are
places to put things.
Yeah, nice little dovetail joint.
Storage.
So it's like you can throw your Microsoft controller or your DAC amp or something along.
I did something similar on the desk that I built as well. The hanging shelves that are just open in the front and the back.
Yeah.
I put a little bit of a lip on the back so the cables wouldn't all just fall out.
Does that pegboard fold out? Like, how do you get the zip ties, or does it just?
So I put some spacers underneath the pegboard. So you've got the wood, you've got some spacers, you've got pegboard on top, and then you can just run zip ties kind of in between.
Okay, just loop it through.
Yeah, and then
or you can tie everything to the pegboard. And
then
screw the pegboard to the.
Mm-hmm. So it's been really nice. The nice part too is you can put grommets on the table exactly where your computers are and stuff, so that the wires don't even show up on the on top of the desk. They go straight into grommet position.
And is your standing desk motorized or is it a hand crank?
Yeah, it's motorized. You can see like the little LED dial thing where it's got some presets.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I'm not even necessarily a person that uses standing desks as a full-time thing. Like, I prefer sitting, but I like having the height for that perfect.
How much was were the standing desk legs? Do you remember?
So it was one of the Lada one, whichever one the Wirecutter I think currently has, and the stand was just $500, I think, straight for the stand.
Pretty much the price for the mechanical part.
And the wood I got for $80 or something at Mount Storm, and I still have a bunch left over, so I need to find some project for it.
PC case.
Wooden PC cases are bad.
I'm the guy that just loves, like, I've got a giant tower. I've got one of those old Cooler Masters that weighs 40 pounds.
So
I love it.
One of the things I've always wanted to do and haven't done yet is just hang the motherboard upside down off of the table.
Well, a lot of people build them in the table, which is kind of neat, and then they put a glass top so that you can still see it.
I don't want to make sure your cards are locked in place.
Yeah,
because there's nothing more embarrassing than like reaching underneath and knocking a GPU out of the slot, which is pretty impossible to do now because of the way they're locked in place on the PCI Express slots.
Yeah, and I built computers for 20 years at this point, so like for me, I always skimped on the case.
Are you
5 years ago? I didn't. And now I never need another case again.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, once I started buying... the ones that I buy now when I need a new case are the Corsair Silent series.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the model nomenclature is, but it's an amazing case. Right. And it wasn't even terribly expensive. It was like $80, $100. It's a mid-tower, has a bunch of bays for hard drives and SSDs and stuff, and it's, as long as you leave the door on, super quiet. Just perfect.
Was that your first foray into dovetailing?
So I'd done some dovetailing, and I didn't do them manually. I've got a jig for it.
For your router?
Yeah, and the jig does a really good job, but you definitely have to clean it up afterward. But it's nice. I mean,
seems a lot easier than doing everything manually.
Oh yeah, and the fun thing about a dovetail is you're like, why am I even putting glue in this? Like if you get it tight enough, you can just sort of hammer it down and it's done. But yeah, it was really nice. It was the first time that I went to like a proper lumber place rather than just getting stuff out of like a big box store.
Yeah.
So I went to this place, Mount Storm, up in Sonoma.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just there looking for some lumber places.
Yeah, it's up in Santa Rosa. That one's perfect. Like you go in there and it's just like wood porn.
Nice.
And the type of place where you walk in and they totally just give you the stink eye. You're like, hey, I'd like to buy this wood. How much is this wood? And they're like, that wood is $20 a board foot. You're like, all right, let me go look at the others. Because it's not labeled, right? It's just like, I want to buy this.
They have a sheet usually at McBeath.
Yeah, but it's not.
There's a lot of places. There's a lot of places I didn't think still existed where it's like the 300-year-old guy who's been importing, bizarre pieces of lumber from around the world for the last 40 years, and he doesn't know you because he knows everybody who buys lumber.
Exactly. So they wouldn't let me use a credit card. They're just like,
funny. So that's even worse than usual.
They're like, look, you're not a contractor. We don't really know you. You can't use your credit card here. I was like,
what?
Really?
Wow.
I gotta.
Wow.
Luckily, I had my dad who is 76 or whatever, and still carries around like $300 in his pocket.
See, I still do that because cash is so useful.
I guess if you're buying wood, totally.
But there's still actually a lot of places. It surprises me more and more because Square is so easy now. But there's still a lot of places where they just don't want to deal with credit cards. Or they don't want to deal with the 4% on the credit cards. But actually being like, I don't trust you because. I don't know, I wonder what happened that made them do that.
I mean, contractors, I'm sure they, probably people buy a lot of wood. I was only buying, like I said, like $80 wood. I thought it was strange, but maybe I just didn't have a good look to it.
I mean, that's you do look a little shifty.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things that's changed in San Francisco in the last 20 years since I moved here is that this was a cash city in 2000, and it is absolutely not anymore. McBeath, go buy your wood at McBeath. They're really nice. Yeah. It's a bit of a track.
Storm. There's nothing wrong with them. They're cantankerous. That's what I want out of my wood.
You want the
people.
grumpy old guys?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I want a nice. It was great wood.
Joey, anything you've been testing these days?
Not much. No.
We're gonna talk about the new camera, the Canon, and save that for later.
The camera I've been using for a long time with all these flat cameras we're using.
Yeah.
They just released. They're owned by Blackmagic now. They just released a new version, 12, totally free. Perfectly capable video editor. If anybody's looking to get into video editing, really good setup they have.
Good, because when it originally came out, it was a little awkward.
Yeah. It's a little. I've never used it because it was so clunky. So I've always just done round trips through like Premiere, like XML over to DaVinci, grade, then back over to Premiere. But now they're really pushing for this
color grading. Just so people who don't know, if you're shooting video like the raw equivalent of video, you have to develop the video. So
like the Blackmagic cameras we use push out this very gray picture. If you just looked at it, it looked very gray, very flat, not a lot of black, not a lot of whites. So you take it into Resolve and you just add a whole color grade and make it look normal.
Cool. Resolve DaVinci?
Yeah, DaVinci Resolve. I recommend that for both Windows and Mac and totally free.
Last thing I want to hit is Rocket League. If you haven't played Rocket League, it's on PS4. If you have a Plus membership, it's free. It's basically car soccer. Rocket car soccer is fucking awesome. Everybody should, if you have a PS4, it's on Steam too. It's $20 on Steam. It's only free for PS Plus people for the next couple of days. So if you have a PS4 and you subscribe to PS Plus, get it while it's free. There are hundreds of thousands of people playing it every night.
I have a printer I'm testing that's under NDA, which is something I haven't said in like a decade.
What color?
Can you say if it's 2D or 3D?
It is a color home printer,
like a inkjet type thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to get any more specific.
Yeah, no. Right. Respect the law.
As bizarre as that sounds, like that, and I just bought a desk from the Berkeley University has a surplus group that sells like off all the old Berkeley stuff, which has some amazing oak classroom cabinets and stuff.
I love those.
But I bought a industrial workbench there, which hopefully wasn't used for anything particularly cancer inducing, but it looks safe so far.
How heavy?
I actually had to get help to move it in because there's a set of steel drawers attached to it. But yeah, the top is hardwood with MDF above and below it, and it's 3 inches thick.
Wow!
So it's actually harder to move than the oak topped workbench I have at home.
So hundreds.
I'd say it's
pounds?
probably in the 200-pound range
Yeah,
because
that's
it's all steel, and then there's a huge set of steel drawers on one
nuts.
side. So that was
fun.
exciting. Yeah, especially for $80.
Yeah. I mean, was this through the Berkeley Extension thing, or is this?
They have
what's
this
it called?
crazy shop in Richmond up by the Richmond Berkeley Extension that's basically a big warehouse full of stuff that the university's selling off.
That's fantastic.
They do actually a little local auction apparently. Like they don't even sell you can preview it online, but then you have to physically bid on the auction in-house for like old lab equipment and computers and stuff.
So
That's cool.
a few years ago, I was looking at getting a centrifuge for home use for cooking.
Because, a
Well,
centrifuge.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you can do a lot of cool stuff with a centrifuge. Like you can make pea butter. Do you know what pea butter is?
Not even a little bit.
So you put a whole shitload of frozen peas into 2-liter containers with some water, and then you puree them first, and then you spin it at like 20,000 RPMs or 2,000 RPMs or whatever for a long time.
Right.
And what it does is it separates the proteins, the lipids, and the water out of the
neat
peas
little layers.
into neat layers. And you can take the stuff that I think it makes up the skin. So it's like the fat, but it's not starchy. And it basically spreads like butter, looks like butter, works like butter, tastes like the brightest pea flavor you've ever, like PEA.
More novel protein.
No protein.
Oh.
You've had this, Joey.
It's
Was
very
it
good. It's very good.
Yeah. You can also do the same thing with strawberries. So you can make like a clear strawberry liquid that basically you put a little bit of soda water in or something. It makes it taste amazing. But they're big.
Super bright
Now you
green.
got me.
Yeah.
Now you got me excited.
Strawberries?
About your centrifuge.
Yeah. Blueberries. Any kind of blueberry.
You keep it at your house, and I'll come over.
I didn't get one. Gina wouldn't let me because the one I wanted, I would have needed to put 220 in, and like that's ridiculous. So
No, it's not.
when we have a bigger house, I'm going to get a centrifuge and a pizza oven. Till then,
And a mill.
but you could get the centrifuge. They were selling centrifuges for like $800, which is way cheaper
Cheap
than
for a
centrifuge
centrifuge.
usually costs. Yeah, I mean for something you use to refine plutonium, the uranium,
And hopefully
pretty
it had
pretty
been
cheap
used for that.
That'll do it for us this week, guys. We're hitting time here. Thank you all for watching. Okay, I'm gonna go down the line. Patrick, people can find you at techthing.com. TEK.
TEKTHING.com. Or on the Twitch podcast, which I'm running away to
Which
do
you're
in just a second.
running late for right now. Dave Snider, what's your internet details?
You can find me Enemy Kite at Twitter.
All one word.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Joey Fameli.
Joey Fameli Twitter. And tested
Yeah, and on tested regularly.
regularly.
And I'm at Will Smith. We will see you guys next week. Today's outro is from Sean. I don't know what this one is. Hi there, I didn't see you. Tested.
I got excited. It happens to everybody.